You're on.
All right, thank you. Good evening. This is the school board meeting for Thursday, May 5th. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Michael Boucher,
Here.
Kim Farah,
Here.
Stephen Finnegan,
Here.
Amy Gentile,
Here.
Barbara Kishka,
Present.
Katie Knudsen,
Here.
Kim McCormick,
Here.
Mark Sherwood,
Here.
Kristen Savage absent.
And just as a point of order, we are, Barbara Kichka is unable to be here in person, so we as a board have allowed, I don't want to say allowed, but she's going to attend virtually, so we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. And just prior to the approval of the meeting minutes, I did want to take an opportunity before we start to just, recognize that we are in Teacher Appreciation Week, and, really wanted to send out our thanks to all, teachers, paras, all staff and administration, and, really just thank you all for all of your hard work and your dedication to this district. Obviously, we as a board really appreciate your hard work and are really thankful for all the work that you guys have done. And we just wanted to make sure that, we said thank you for all of that. So thank you, those that are here, and obviously those that are watching at home. So approval of the meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 21st minutes. I do want to note, with the following amendment, on page 5, at the bottom, the second paragraph from the bottom, could you move the last sentence in that paragraph to right after the first sentence in the paragraph? It doesn't make sense in the paragraph where it is right now.
So the first paragraph or the second paragraph?
Put it at the second, make it the second sentence in the first paragraph.
So that's the curriculum department, right?
Right, that should go right after the sentence that says projections for 2022, 23, that would be good.
All right, so I have a motion with an amendment.
Second.
And another one is that I could have sworn we swore to made a motion to seal the minutes from the last non-public, and I don't see that in the minutes.
We did that at the end of the meeting. Yes, that's gonna need to be added to the minutes, that we went in, sorry.
No, that's okay, yeah.
We went into a non-public and then came out and sealed the minutes in public, so maybe we should just defer this until we get that
Yeah.
straightened out.
Okay,
You know what I mean, Corey? We need to add that.
At the end of this one?
And the fact that we sealed the minutes in the public session.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll hold off on approving these until we get that. And then we'll approve those probably at our next meeting, we'll approve those. All right, we do have a draft of the non-public meeting minutes.
Orange color.
Right, I think we should have additional edits.
Why don't we defer on these?
Yeah, we'll defer on
Let's
these.
hold this and yes,
Okay.
and then I'll explain what needs to happen on these.
Thank you. We're just gonna defer those if you
Yeah,
can.
if you wanna turn them in, I'll,
Thank you.
Anyways.
Okay, do we have any delegates or
Michael, do
individuals?
you have your minutes? The non-public?
I just gave
Oh,
them.
yeah,
You
just
can
kidding,
both
yeah.
do it, okay.
No, we don't.
We do not, okay. And we don't have a student representative tonight, so we'll go right into current business.
Sweet.
All right, the general assurances, so, as last meeting, we wanted to compare, the 2022 general assurances to the 2023. Was there any questions on those?
No, did you want to go over the differences?
Sure.
All right.
Did you want to tell me the difference?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
So on page 1, section A4, it looks like they updated the definition of the requirements of the assistance awarding agency. It's pretty minor there. On page 4, section 27, they updated the date from March to December. They added section 30 for the drug-free
Which
work.
page?
That's on
Page
page
four.
4. On page 5 and 6, it looks like they've updated the written policies and procedures table.
Which that has to do with the findings of the audit. Those are the policies and procedures that now are required, and that's what was a finding for us, because we have not.
Had those, okay.
Okay.
Maria.
On page 8, they added an email for form of contact. They also updated the date for the single audit certification from March to December. And I believe that is the last one. Yeah,
Nothing major.
so mostly dates.
Okay, good. Thank you, appreciate it.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chair to sign the general assurances for fiscal year 2023.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 0.
Just make sure on this, you've got to initial each page.
Yeah. Great. All right. We do have the next is the middle school schedule update. This is really informational. So what you'll see here,
We have Mark Pedersen
We have
and
Mark.
Dan Woodworth here too.
great. Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
It's all yours.
All ours. All right. So I believe we've come to the board previously just to indicate to the board that the middle school is planning on changing a schedule or have a tentative schedule change for next year. And we wanted to just keep the board abreast of the work that we've been doing and moving forward in that in progress for how we are looking to roll that out for next year. So what you're seeing in the board packet is an executive summary as well as the proposed schedule change. What displayed is what that schedule would look like. It really comes down to about 6 months of work in looking at investigating and talking with teachers, talking with parents, talking with students, investigating what other schools are doing, and we just look to make a change to what we feel will be some benefits in that. And there's those bullet points there where we're streamlining the schedule for all 3 grades throughout the day. We're going to have 7 50-minute classes, whereas now they're
Well, currently it's two 90-minute cores a day, and then there's a 25-minute extension block, which is reading block, 55-minute world language, 45-minute chorus. So you can see where you have 3 grades kind of end up in all different schedules that can present different challenges. And, it's been a benefit in certain ways, but as we started to kind of, as Mark alluded to, kind of look at different updates, changes we could to make it better, those conversations kind of led us down a path that ended up as us kind of starting from scratch and hearing loud and clear that the idea of seeing our students in our core classes every single day was something we thought would be a great benefit.
So also,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're also transitioning in this from trimester model to a semester model. And additionally, we're going to provide some more time for lunch for students. Those are all the sort of the pros that we've built into this schedule. Dr. Parra?
So, you're essentially going away from the block scheduling model in the middle school and reverting back to what is the more traditional 50 minutes.
Well, yes and no. And I say yes and no because yes, the cores are every 50 minutes every day, but we've built it in such a way that the block can still happen. And what I mean by that is you'll see, so in 6th grade, that first column, you've got core 1, 2, 3, and 4 all lumped together. And so with the team approach as well, that team could decide that, all right, in science, we really need, extended time to do a lab. And so, on one day, they might do science for that core 1 and core 2 time period. And then the following day, maybe English says, hey, I want to do some reading groups and I really want to spend some time in doing this. Can I have extended time? So there's the flexibility built in there to do some block time. Because right now what we're finding is middle school teachers are actually doing skinny days occasionally. We're in the block. But what they'll do is they'll take that time and say, rather than, maybe 2 blocks are the 2 blocks are back to back, they'll do all 4 of their cores in a row in sort of skinny days. So the flexibility is there to be in block and be in skinnies.
Okay, are you looking to move, I know this isn't the high school, but you're looking to move to a skinny day on the high school also?
So that has not come up. That has not been something that we've talked about at the high school. This came out of, work that we've done talking to the middle school, talking with other middle schools. It's not something that we've looked at the high school.
Okay, and the reason I asked that question and moving back towards a more traditional period of time, I understand you've got the option to go with longer blocks. I never was a fan of block scheduling. 90 minutes is too long. Even at the college level, it's too long. And I had always worried that it would not be advantageous to us academically. And what we've seen is that our academic scores have not been doing well, and in fact have been going down. So I'm for this schedule. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'd like to see what we can do about the high school schedule, doing a skinny block day, so you could have more of your core classes on a daily basis, especially math and world languages.
If I may, just one of the concerns from parents in going to this was the concern that if kids had these classes every day, that then teachers would be assigning homework every day and having the expectation now to have homework every day. So, when we went to the block, one of the things that we looked at was a kid might have 7 bosses, if you will, in a day, and 7 homework assignments due the following day, whereas in the block it sort of slowed down that rat race feel. And kids then only had 4 classes a day, only 4 bosses a day. So I appreciate what you're saying, and I do understand. I just want to inform you that the public, when we did talk to the parents, that was a concern of parents, is that now having more classes a day, kids might have more homework every day. So I wanted to be transparent and make you realize that the parents did have that as a concern, that we did take into account with this, and did understand that.
So I just one question for reference. Could you just explain what a skinny day is?
Sure.
Please?
Yeah, so.
Because I'd like to be a part of that.
Right. Every grade does it a little bit different, but, speaking for the 7th grade, since that's where I'm currently housed, on pretty much every Friday, assuming we have a 5-day week, the 90-minute cores are split into 2 45-minute in each time during the day, so the kids will have all 4 core classes.
Okay.
So we call that a skinny day rather than the traditional block day, so.
Got it. All right, that makes sense.
It seems like it was born from the remote schedule where Wednesdays became the skinny day in a lot of districts, and that same term seems to
Yeah.
be universal across districts.
Yeah, we were doing that every Wednesday when we were in that hybrid form last year. So there was a little bit of that happening across certain teams before the pandemic as well. But this year it's been, I know at least in 7th grade, every single Friday of a 5-day week has been a skinny day, and it's been really effective.
Great. So my second question is based on the scheduling that you guys have currently in this new schedule, from a time perspective, how much more time will these students have in core classes with the new schedule versus the old schedule? You can come back with that. I know it's.
I had it all. It's on my whiteboard in the middle school. I had it all mapped out.
Well, if we do some math here,
Quick-
right?
do
You have
the quick
90
math.
minutes every other day. Now it's 50 minutes, so it's 10 more minutes every 2 days. Times that by 90 and an extra 900 minutes.
So I think it's important, right, to know that with this schedule, kids are going to have more time in core classes.
Yep, I think it's 900 minutes in each core class added, so.
Can you talk a little bit about the move from trimester to semester? I'm particularly wondering, is this district-wide? Is this just the middle school? And does that mean that there will only be 2 report cards or 2 reporting sessions?
So this is specific to the middle school. The high school is in semesters. The elementary and middle school right now are in trimesters. This move to go to semesters was actually born out of the way that we'd have to do the UA rotations. And it was just to get in the same types of rotations to do. We felt as though we could go to that because it bought us a little bit more time within those classes, but still enabled us to do the rotation properly. So it was more of a scheduling piece to go to the semester versus trimester. So it wasn't born out of some other academic piece. It was that part was scheduling and time to give kids more time. As far as report cards go then, the high school has report cards at the end of every quarter with progress reports built in there. And progress reports could be seen as a little bit of a antiquated practice because now Power School allows parents to access grades 24/7 in live time. There was a time where parents couldn't see grades, and so progress reports was really that mid-quarter opportunity for parents to see how kids were doing, but now they can see it in live time. So we are talking about doing 4 report cards at the middle school. We're still working that out as far as, what are they exactly going to look like? Are they going to look more like the high school one? Or are they going to, in that regard, what are they going to look like in that? But we are thinking it is going to be 4 report cards.
A follow-up question to that, if I may. What are the parameters for updating Power School? So prior to either of your tenures, I had kids going through the school and there was an unequal amount of attention paid to updating the Power School grades by different teachers. Is there a policy?
There's not a policy per se. There is practice in place and teacher expectations. Teachers are expected to update their grades every 2 weeks.
And you're satisfied with that?
Well,
you're satisfied. Okay.
I mean,
I didn't mean to hit the.
No, it's. We've said good practice is update grades weekly, but the expectation is at least every 2 weeks. We can do reports and look at who hasn't updated grades, and we go and talk to those teachers. It's just good practice to keep, teachers, counselors, special educators, parents, administrators all aware of how kids are doing. So, we
Agreed.
encourage.
And so, in follow-up to that, if we're not doing the progress reports and some teachers are unequal with the attention they're paying to that, I know as a parent myself, I was frustrated. Hey, how you doing? I think I'm doing good. I haven't seen any grades in a month and a half. I was struggling before, and we didn't know, and it wasn't, an imperfect
Yeah, and so
process.
we might still hang on to I was simply saying the progress reports were an antiquated practice in that, there was, before Power School, there was really only eight times parents could really see how kids were doing. I'm not saying that we're gonna get rid of progress reports. We might still have them. I know the practice right now, though, is nothing is going home per se with the progress report. It's, hey, progress reports are due. Teachers have to get them in, and it's not even a capture. It's still live time. And so we just simply say to parents, progress reports are done, and parents still have to get onto Power School and look at that. It's not like anything is going home.
Yep.
So.
I just have, one more question. What, have you guys thought about what the education / orientation for the students who are in the school now and those students who are coming into the middle school on this new schedule, what is that going to look like?
I mean, obviously, when we start any year, there's kind of an adjustment because right now it's a different schedule for each grade, So I think the teachers are very skilled at kind of working with the students. The first couple days of school have always traditionally been, a little bit of piecemeal in terms of, maybe we're not going to this class so that we have more time to go over schedules. So, that will remain, in play. We've talked a little bit about, different things that sixth grade orientation can look like and how we can go about that. So certainly there's been some beginning conversations of, what type of trainings and things we need to do to get us on that page, but nothing firm to report, I guess.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I just had a general question. So back in Tennessee, where I'm from, all of the schools, high school down to the middle schools and the elementary schools, we all start at 8 o'clock in the morning. So why are we starting at 7:25 in the morning? Can we just explain that to me?
Because we only have one set of buses that make
Oh, is that the
two
reason?
runs.
Okay.
And if we start these guys late, the elementary won't be starting till 9:30.
Okay. I
That's
didn't
the
know. I
real-
was like, what is the reason for that?
Yes.
Unless you flipped them, that's an option.
There's
That's
an
some,
option to flip and
and-
start elementary sooner, but then you have them
you have
going to school.
daycare issues, you have all, they're,
Yeah, daycare.
Yuck.
yeah.
Okay.
But it was built on an agrarian calendar,
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
It was built on an agrarian calendar.
Okay,
back
thanks.
in the
I
day.
didn't know. I was like, I'm just used to
Yeah.
everybody starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, so.
Some districts around here do if they can.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
It's logistical.
Depends if it's the skinny schedule.
Steve, I just wanted to.
Yeah, please.
Say, I know what it must have taken to put all this together. And the fact that you have your cores all together and you've given your teachers the ability to work with each other and talk to each other and say, I need a little bit more. And I just think that's impressive. So I just want to say thank you for that. Because you put a lot of faith in the teachers to work together, and that's great.
Well, thank you, but the middle school teachers are phenomenal with working together.
Yeah.
We've built in.
They're great teams.
We've built in team time for them to ensure that they have that collaborative time to continue to work together, and they really do take advantage of that time, and so, I think.
I just think
great-
that's so important, and I appreciate how, the logistics that went into doing this, because I think this looks great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we can, moving forward, we can look at building a plan for providing more information to the community, especially to the students that are going to be in 7th and 8th grade, along with those 6th graders who are receiving orientation. But this was the first step in getting to making a change.
Yeah, really great. Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Good job.
Maria? So the next item on the agenda is the supply chain assistance funds. So everybody has an executive summary.
So this is the Department of Education in recognizing the supply chain challenges that we're facing, that the cost of the commodities that we need to buy for our food service had received from the USDA some an allocation to the Department of Education, and they filter it down to each of the districts. So we received $58,000 from the Department of Education to help us accommodate the overcharge in the food and the supply chain challenges, which a lot of times we had to go with different alternatives that are more pricing, or we simply don't have things to serve because they're just not there. So I am looking for the board to accept the additional food service aid that the state gave us.
I'll make a motion to accept the $58,862 from the New Hampshire Education Department Office of Nutrition Programs and Services through the Commodity Credit Corporation.
And 29 cents. Sorry.
It's 29 cents.
Sorry.
You round off, that was,
All right.
right, Mary? You round.
Do you round up? You round down? Round down?
It's 29.
I do.
Yes,
round.
you're
I'll
right.
second it
I
regardless.
love rounding.
I was just trying to be precise.
It's
All right.
easier.
I'm new. So I have a motion, a second. Great. Any other questions regarding this? No? This is nice. I appreciate that. So, all in favor? Great. Thank you. Maria, you can stay right there. So the next is the food service RFP. Maria gave us a very nice executive summary on this. I'll let you sort of just highlight the high points here.
Yeah, so we put out our RFP for the food service. We had a small committee, a committee of 4 people that review the bids that we received. We received 2 bids. One was from Fresh Beat Cafe, and the other one was from Whitson's Culinary Group, which is the company that currently serves our food service. Both proposals were impressive. They were very very thorough. They gave us, both companies are obviously the leading companies in this area. Their offers are pretty similar. Fresh Beats Cafe is a smaller company than Whitson's. They put more emphasis in, it's not necessarily like individual needs, but they are more specialized on foods that not necessarily will agree with every children. This is my very personal opinion, but both proposals were very good. They're very good companies. They're very experienced, and I actually contacted some of the references that they put. I sent emails and I got several back. Amazing references. Both companies, people couldn't say enough good things about them. With the financial proposal was a little tricky because even though the RFP had very strict guidance on how to price and what we were asking for, they did not follow very well the instructions. So one company decided to put an increase on the meal pricing because they feel like it was too low. So they had their own pricing for the meals while the other company followed the instructions for the pricing. So what I did is I just did an internal comparison using the projections that they had for meal counts, but I applied the same pricing to both of them. So then I can have we could have an internal equal comparison. Whitson's came, the original proposal, Fresh Beats Cafe had a deficit of $79,000, and Whitson's had a profit of $10,000. And when I did the equalized evaluation, having the same pricing, it came out to be pretty close. It was $82,000 to $11,000 profit. So that's not the only factor that we take into consideration making these selections, and we discussed this at the committee that we had, is all the factors, and we had a rubric that we follow that is actually from the Department of Education, where we rated each company based on different criteria. So after that, we decided to recommend that we continue our partnership with Whitson's. And they, especially the last 2 years, I have to say, they have been extremely accommodating and such a good partner in dealing with all the changes, all the challenges. So I think it was the consensus of the people, us that review the, the proposals to recommend that we continue our partnership with Wilson's, but it's up to the board.
Kim?
So this is going to be to award a 3-year contract with the option of a +1 and a +1?
Yes. So it's a 3-year contract, right, and we have the option to do the
To renew.
+1 and the +1.
So I'll make a motion to award Whitson's the food service management company contract.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Are there any additional discussions on that?
Oh,
Michael?
well, I just want to comment and say that your executive summary is pretty much on point with what I ended up reading myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I took a moment to be a little nerdy and take a look at it.
No, I actually appreciate that.
There was one thing I noticed about the Whitsons, and I don't know if you noticed it too. It seemed like they had more employees, but managed to keep the costs relatively close.
Yes, so, well, obviously they're a larger company. That's the other issue that has been for the last couple of years since COVID, maintaining this type of employees, you know, all the labor like cafeteria workers, custodians, all that industry have a lot of challenge in keeping employees, which amazingly Whitson's has done an extremely good job keeping their employees. I don't know what policies, retention policies they have or what kind of bonus plan they have, but they had done an amazing job retaining. We had been very lucky not to have deficiencies, but they are a bigger company, so they have a bigger pool of employees on where to pull. I just don't know what the other company based their projections on,
Yeah, I'm not
other
too
than
sure
what
either.
I saw there, which is just what they're proposing.
Right, and I think the other thing too, the other company there, it looked like they kind of baked in an additional cost per meal, if I read that correctly, whereas Whitson's pretty much kept everything the same.
Yes.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
have to, but yeah, I mean, for if anyone else, you didn't have a chance to read, the only other benefit from going with the other company is that they're local, so if you have like a personal preference for supporting a local company, you might consider the other one, but I think Whitson's is probably the good choice.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? 8-0, great. Thank you for that, Maria. The next is the federal funds audit.
So we received the final report for the federal funds audit. They audited 8 activities within our all of our grants. They had 3 findings, which I know it sounds like a lot, but actually is not. And the 3 findings were regarding policies and procedures that the federal government has changed or new policies or procedures that they have suggest to pass-through entities, which we are a pass-through entity. So the 3 findings in total is 2 policies, the 2 policies that we presented to you guys 2 weeks ago that we need to implement tonight, and the 4 procedures that we did review at SLT this week. We are in the process of reviewing them to implement them. So we have to, by the end of the month, I have to submit the plan that we're proposing to move forward. So what I want to do is just not submit a plan, but tell them that we had adopted the policies and the procedures and that we are moving forward. That way we don't put it aside or just wait for it. I just want to have it done and move forward.
Yeah, so
Compliance.
one update to that, just so you guys see on the executive summary, the policy GADA. We talked about that in policy. We decided as a policy committee to send that to legal just because of the language in there. I did hear back from legal. That will go back to policy committee next week to move to school board for our next meeting to be, to go through the first read. So that's just the only change there. But we will get that into our next meeting.
Isn't this a 30-day turnaround on this?
Yes, so I have to, there is a form in the finding that I have to fill out for each of the findings. I already have it filled out. I'm waiting to see how far we get with the process of adopting. And if for that one, we go beyond the 30 days, I will just tell them that we're working on it and we're reviewing with legal. But like I said, my goal is to have them approved and the thing is that as earliest as we adopt them, then our audit next year, we will be in compliance for this year, so it will be, for part of this year, so it will be a better approach.
It looks like for each of the findings, it says August 30th, 2022 is the required completion date, so.
Yes, it's just the submission of the plan.
The
I have to
plan is
submit it the
within
30 days.
Oh, gotcha.
The plan is
Yeah,
within
the
30
plan, which
days.
is the last page, again, I have to do one for each of the findings, and that is the one that I have to submit before the end of the month.
Will we be, will be okay if we review a
Yeah, that's
policy
fine,
next week?
because
Okay.
like I said, I can just put in the plan for that one policy or another, or a procedure, whatever we don't feel comfortable, we don't have enough time to implement, I can just say that we are in the process of.
Okay.
But anything that we can implement and move forward with, I'd rather do it sooner than later,
Yeah.
just to be in compliance.
Exactly.
Well, if you feel like you're gonna have the policies done here before this window, what you can do is you can do a first and second reading at the same school board meeting on a policy.
Oh, you can,
You can, there's a policy on how to do that.
Yep.
You may have to
Alright.
notice it in advance or
Okay.
something like that, but you can, or you can waive the second reading or we have to look at the policies.
yeah, I'll look
But
at that.
If we wanna get this done, we could do
Right.
it, if we can do it at the next school board meeting.
Okay,
If you're gonna,
Okay.
that way, it could all just be done,
Yeah.
instead of
That's,
having to go
it's
back
just
and-
federal compliance, and I feel like,
yeah, all right, I'll look
Yeah.
into
I'd
that
rather adopt
policy.
them
Get
Yeah.
sooner
that
than
so
later.
that it does a first and second read at
Yep.
the next meeting.
All right,
and we
perfect.
probably will have the procedures adopted too next week. Like I said, I presented them at SLT, we took them to read and go through them, and we'll probably will have them adopted by next week, so.
So Maria, do we have to have any action on this? Is there, just other than making sure that we're compliant, but I think we have the plan to make sure that we're there. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't believe the corrective action plan is what I have to submit, which
Okay.
again, I will make sure that it gets submitted before the end of the month, so we are in compliance
Great,
with that. Again, I'm just waiting to see what we can get done before I have to submit it.
okay,
So I will make sure we comply with that.
yeah, thank you for all your help with that, Maria. So it sounds like just based on the plan we have that, I'll look at the policy, we'll review that just to see if we can do the first and second read for the next board meeting. This, GADA will go to, policy committee on the 12th. We'll review their update and bring to the next board meeting. Any questions, anybody on these?
If I can give a quick update for our regular audit, actually, our amazing Assistant Business Administrator scheduled our audit for this fiscal year today. They're coming early July to start with it, and early August is when they're on site. So we are hoping that we are going to have audit before September. The audit will be completed, so
Oh.
that's the schedule.
That's fantastic.
It used to be years.
Yeah, right. So, right, in
Sorry,
context,
couldn't
right,
help
I mean,
myself.
it used to take longer than that. So Maria and team, great job. Really, really great job. Thank you.
Once again, I can't do it without them. They are amazing. I have
And while we're just thanking people, I should just make a special shout out to Chris's admin assistant Kelly in sort of getting these packets together, but really keeping Chris and myself kind of on target, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, honestly, she's been wonderful, so thank you, Kelly, for that.
Yes.
Okay, policies, so we do have 4 policies back today for the second read. These policies see, this led into my thanks to Kelly, because she updated all of these. So with all of the changes that we recommend, or we made last board meeting, all of those changes have been made into these policies. So we are here, we have these here for second read and adoption.
I'll make a motion to approve policy ADB, BGF, DAF, and GBEC for a second read.
Thank you. I have a motion to move those 4 policies.
Second.
Thank you. Thanks, Barb. So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just one thing, this speaks to waiving a policy, so if you notice for the next meeting,
Yep.
or you can advance, publicly announce, well, you can publicly announce right now
That we're
that
going
at the
to.
next meeting, we are going to do a first and second read on such
Oh.
and such policy. That's publicly noticing the board.
So let's adopt this and then make that motion, right? Because
Yes.
we have to adopt this
Well,
first, right?
just,
It's an
all you
existing
don't have
policy
to,
already.
you just need to announce that's the plan for the
Okay.
next time.
Okay. Great. Any other discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. Thank you. I'd like to publicly announce that in the next meeting, we are going to do the first and second read of policy GADA. Did I get that one right?
Yep.
Yeah, GADA. Great. That will cover us there. Where did my agenda go? There it is. Okay. Next is, I'm gonna turn this over to Superintendent Cullen to talk about the special education compliance audit.
And I'm going to bring up Kelly Brooks to join us and walk us through the compliance audit.
The LEA determination, or the audit
LEA,
piece.
yeah.
So the state of New Hampshire this year decided to do a different monitoring system that we've had in the past. So this certain version is different than what you had 5 years ago. So I just want to be clear, but there are some things that happened 5 years ago that are now on this one. So you can see that we've been identified as an SAU that's in need of intervention. It's pretty clear on there. You can see the areas that we need to work on. The one thing I do want to just point out is that if you see the information they pulled was from 2021. So it's not like just this year they looked at it. They pulled from last year, which was in the middle of COVID, right? And so it's a database system that they pull through, our NESA system. So they didn't come in and look at our files. They didn't come in and talk to us. They literally went to the data system, ran it, and said, you're wrong. So any errors that we might have had in entering information could have landed us on here for an area just because we mixed up a number or something like that. So we have things in place this year that are actually addressing a lot of these issues. But the one good thing that comes out of this is we have to form a team that will actually do a root cause analysis, which is great to go along with our special ed audit that we're doing right now. So,
Go ahead,
oh, okay, yep, no, that's fine. So I see it as actually a positive thing for us, even though it's needing intervention, but it actually is really good. We've done a lot of work for the special ed audit and kind of analyzing things from years ago up until now. We're looking through schedules, we're looking through what has happened before, we're looking through assignments, we're looking through IEPs, and stuff like that. This piece of the LEA determination actually will help us bring regular ed and special ed actually together. If you notice in there are things like opting out for assessments and stuff. Part of that is just communication, saying to a parent, I know you'd like to opt out, but guess what? There's an impact of you opting out. So I think that that's part of it. But a lot of these things that are on there, we already put into place this year because we were identified for corrective action to fix. So I'm hoping when we go around to next year in April, we won't have as many of these issues. But this is going to give us the opportunity to have a team that looks at many different players sitting at the table, not just administrators, you know, it looks at community partners and parents, and you could have students if you wanted to be on it. Next week, all the administrators are going to have attend the training that's going to tell us exactly who's going to be assigned to us and what the plan may look like. But this is an ongoing, I'll be able to provide you with a month-to-month update because that is part of the plan. We have to provide a plan to them, which we have to provide a plan to you to let you know what we found, what we've discovered, which will be really helpful with our special ed audit.
And pairing that with our own internal audit that we've been doing, you know, actually going to bring forward some draft surveys at the next school board meeting for the school board's review. Also with a plan for public forums to begin that process. So we're already in that process, so it makes it easy to continue moving forward. And this is just, you know, it's one of those, while the results of the report don't look so great, I don't think there are all that many surprises, given it was the 2020-2021 school year. But nonetheless, also, Kelly's done some work in going back to the last program approval report, which is what we're, you know, more than this report, but and looking and seeing that, you know, there were a number of these corrective actions that were already put in place, that things were going well, but since that time, since 2017, we've really taken a step back. So we need to, you know, rebuild, address those issues, and continue to move forward in, you know, making progress in all of the areas.
Yeah, our last monitoring, they identified areas and they were 100%. So when Beth Rincon left, you were 100% compliant. There was no problems. So between that time period, 2018 and now, we've gone completely backwards again. So we're looking at some of the reasons why we went backwards. Why some of those areas, there are other areas that are in here now, but some of those same things that they looked at corrective actions, they had extensive trainings on, we've gone right back. So.
Barbara had a question?
Yes.
Oh.
So on this report, the thresholds seem quite strange in some places. So do we know how they determine these? Because some are like 10.04%. So if you're at 10.1, you know, you get the 2 demerits. And a lot of these thresholds seem much higher than the state averages. I think that's the state average that they're getting. Can you explain how they arrived at these thresholds?
No, and they can't explain either.
Well,
Thank you, Kelly.
They too. Yeah.
I can tell you some. For example, indicator 11. Okay, indicator 11 is timeliness of evaluations. I'm not even going to look for it. Well, I'm flipping through, but I can just tell you. Indicator 11 is timeliness of evaluations. That is a zero tolerance. So that's under the federal IDEA. We are required to complete all evaluations for any child that's been referred to be evaluated, to be considered eligible or not for special education. You have 60 days from start to finish to complete that process, and that includes everything: report writing, reporting out to parents, you know, the entire process. And it's a zero tolerance. It's like, you know, you can't drink and drive a boat. You can't be anything less than 100% in compliance with indicator 11, for example. So some of them are driven by the federal requirements under the IDEA, where there's, you know, where it might be a zero tolerance thing, or 100% compliance is the only allowable, you know, degree in which you can be in compliance, while others do have some margin of error allowed. But it's not a lot. These things, you know, they're where you see the state target, like we might be just below the state target. It's not you were close. You either hit it or you don't, pretty much, in all of these areas. You're either in compliance or you're not. And sometimes the state target isn't even where it needs to be.
And in our trainings, they did talk about the fact that some of their numbers are driven by outside, you know, forces and whatever, but they couldn't tell us for some of them other than they chose that number. Based on studies or whatever, they chose a number, so, you know, we just
Some
get.
of them are downright bizarre, and the fact that you get 2 demerits or 0, there's no rate, no thing saying you mostly made it.
So they're also monitored, the state is monitored by the Office of Special Education
Yeah.
Program, OSEP. And I've done, I've had some meetings and whatnot with OSEP and worked with the commissioner with OSEP. And they actually contract out their compliance monitoring. So, even that government agency itself, there's some flexibility that happens, as Kelly's saying there, but largely it's driven by the federal legislation and the, which, our state rules are supposed to align with that, which they do, but then they monitor our state practices as well. And, they do try and account for some, progress monitoring kind of, working towards it at the state level, but most of which it's, pretty clearly defined in the federal legislation that here's what you need to do.
Okay, and I just have one more thing, an observation. It looks like we're doing better at the high school level than we are at the preschool in general.
I think the results are somewhat deceiving. I just will say that. When we broke away, or we were breaking away, I think there was a lot of confusion that might have been happening between our two systems. So remember, they pulled from last year, so we were kind of combined in that. I think the other thing is that preschool is predominant in that determination, right? They are targeting specifically preschool because they want to look at early intervention and numbers and what you're doing. So in the high school, if you look at it, there's only certain indicators for high school, but there's a lot for preschool. So that's why it looks much higher of a need. But with this comes some great things. I will say that I try to get the positive on it. There's a lot of training, there's a lot of resources, and there's a lot of, you get assigned somebody that's going to be able to answer specifically, what can we do? This is what is going on for us. These are the troubles that we're having, and they can answer them. So it's tailored for you, and it's one person that's going to be your go-to person. This is something that the Department of Ed just came up with this year. There wasn't any mandate, there wasn't any requirement. They just decided to do this.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I would, after our regular business is done, like to go into a non-public to discuss personnel with regards to this particular report.
Yeah.
Kristen, I think you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Just to bring people up to speed, because you're new, Chris is new, the rest of the board's new. I'm old.
Veteran.
Yeah, listen, went on the skinny schedule.
There's something there.
Miss the skinny schedule.
So,
I sit right in the middle of you.
Kelly,
two.
just a really quick question. Is the expectation moving forward when they do these evaluations that they are just going to go and get the data, or are they expected to come and really be on site and do more of an on-site assessment?
Now, if you look at it in the summary, they actually talk about next April, they're going to again pull the information from the database and do it. I think that there will be some, because we just barely were notified, they're going to come in the fall and pick, I think it's 40 files by our size. They will still do those kind of things, but it's going to be more of this, that they're looking in the database and they're going to pull it every single year. I think for continuity purposes. And maybe staffing-wise, it's really hard to send one person out to look at, depending on the size of your SAU. But they already notified us that in the fall, they're going to start coming to look at files they're going to pick. So this is a great opportunity for people to look at this report, get files into compliance and stuff. And we have been working on that this year, just so you know. We've done new forms, we have checklists, we have things that are, we check monthly for compliance to make sure that people are doing what they need to do. So a lot of the things in here that were pulled from last year, we've actually been working on this year, and we've had corrective action plans that we've addressed this year, and we're in 100% compliance. So there are some things that before we even got the news, we already knew there was an issue.
The program approval process at the state level, it's something that's evolved quite a bit over the past approximately 30 years in which I've been involved with it. It used to be all on site. They didn't even have a state database. They had a state database system, but it didn't include an IEP program, so they weren't able to pull. They're able to pull a lot of this information for the indicators out of the Easy IEP program itself that feeds into the NESIS database system, which is the New Hampshire Special Education Information System. I go back to when this stuff was all in triplicate forms and all these things, and they didn't have all of that. But the program approval process is one that, again, the state is responsible to the federal government, to the Office for Special Ed Programs, to ensure that we're following all of these compliance markers as outlined in IDEA. So this process has evolved, and this, what we have here today, that's basically a desk audit, is what they call it. But one of the challenges that has happened over the years, it used to be all of the directors or assistant directors, special ed teachers, whomever, would all volunteer. We'll go, whoever's having program approval would all volunteer. I actually sat in the PAC, what year did the PAC open up? So I came here for the,
20 years ago.
20 years ago, I came here, we were one of the first groups to sit.
You're old.
Yeah, to sit.
They just had their anniversary, that's how I know.
Yeah.
Remember, they had their 20th anniversary.
It was brand new. I was on the program approval team that came to Timberlane, and we got to sit in the seats in the recital hall, and they spun it around for us. You know, it was the new shiny toy, so it was really kind of fun. So, you know, in that, you know, people would come, we would all volunteer to assist one another and do progress, you know, program approval and progress monitoring, doing on-site evaluations, polling files, meeting with teams and things. But what's happened over the years, it's harder and harder to get staff to be available to, it's not that people don't want to do it, it's just the availability to participate. So they've streamlined the process, and of course, along with technology, the process has been streamlined along the way. And, you know, it's become something, you know, and it evolves, you know, each time that they do it. So we'll wind up in the program approval monitoring process. This is just the first phase of it with the desk audit, which everybody has this desk audit, but the people, then you're selected, I guess, to be part of a full program approval depending on your desk audit.
So just one other question for both of you, actually, is based on this, have we identified a process internally that is sort of looking at all of the areas in which we didn't do well and a sort of setting benchmarks in evaluating our progress month over month to kind of make sure that we're heading in the right direction?
I think it's safer to say that we're still in the auditing phase.
Okay.
Where, you know, Kelly and I both being new here are really uncovering things, and along with the special ed department, the administrators, you know, really identifying what the areas are. And of course, as you do that, you say, well, wait a minute, we should be doing this. And, you know, with, you know, experiences that we have, we say, well, this is how it was done here before, or I know it was done this way, you know, but we, you know, so we're addressing things. As Kelly said, there are a number of things and systems that she has already put in place with her team. But we're really looking forward to completing our own audit, getting into this, and continuing to develop. And we're going to need to do that annually. Have plans to maintain and have plans to improve in various areas.
Well, part of the whole process about the root cause analysis is you have to do the progress. All of these areas, we have to have a plan. We have to know what we're doing. We have to moving forward so we don't have the same issue again. So that will come out of the root cause analysis. And it starts, you know, next week we have our first Zoom meeting, and then it's all summer. They expect you to be updating and doing things all summer long, and you only have until next year, March, essentially, to get all of these things addressed. They'll run you again, and if you still haven't done it, then you're going to start in that same process. I don't think any of us want to keep going into it, but we do need to have things in place so we don't fall back. So that if everybody left tomorrow, we still would know what to do, right? That's one thing that we've worked hard on this year, is that same forms, so that if I left tomorrow, you left tomorrow, just open your binder. You know exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see if, and I don't know what the board thinks about this, but maybe, you know, early fall, a check-in to sort of see where you guys are at, and, you know, and any type of issues that are coming up with that. Because, again, I think for the board, or at least how I feel, you know, it's better to know sort of where we're at versus, you know, next March or whenever this was, is getting this report and kind of saying, oh, well, what happened, right? So,
I'm going to jump in.
sure.
So as Kim joked about being old, and I clearly missed the conversation that went with that, I looked around and realized I'm the second oldest, if
Yeah. So, yeah. That being said, I know we're gonna go into non-public, but this report isn't really a shock to me because of the old and that's kind of it. So, I mean, there's a reason why Chris is sitting to my right and Kelly's sitting right there, and we knew that we had the deficiencies and they had to be addressed. And I'm very encouraged by what I've already seen in comparison over the last few years as far as, I mean, just the way that you talk about the special ed and you talk about all of this and the information that you have available is there for us. And same with Kelly, it comes to us and you're able to answer these questions. When something comes up or we get an audit like this, we're not like we're not panicking over it. You're taking this on with a charge that we already knew a lot of this and same thing. So you've been brought in for a reason. I'm encouraged with what I'm seeing. And I do agree it would be great to have an update, but I do think there's a way to get back to where we were at that 100%, and I think you two are the right two to lead us in that charge. So I'm encouraged by what I hear and the direction you're going. We knew it was a bit of a climb, but I have no doubt you can get us there.
Thank you.
Well, I think the one advantage maybe Chris and I have is that we're not from here. You know, I mean, we weren't here.
Right.
So for me, it's just delving in and finding out so that at least I know what was happening so we don't necessarily make the same mistakes again. But it's really good information, factual information to actually know. So that when you're talking to people here who have been here for a while, you can say, I know that you used to do it this way, but we're moving forward to this way. That has helped me a lot.
Yep.
To kind of figure out where they're coming from. And just like Maria, it's not just me that's doing everything. We have some phenomenal coordinators and special educators and people that are working really, really hard. The staff have worked really, really hard to attend all kinds of trainings, to work at corrective actions. They've had a lot thrown at them this year because there are things that have been lingering, and the Department of Ed has been good in holding off, but then they were done. So they've had to jam-pack a couple years' worth of corrective actions into this year, and they've done a phenomenal job.
They have.
Any other discussion? Okay, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrators report?
All right. So tonight is the first night of Spam-A-Lot at the PAC. Performance by the Timberlane Regional High School Theater Group. Looking forward to going over there very shortly and catching the end of that, as well as the performances throughout the weekend. So there is a performance tonight, obviously, it's already going. There is one tomorrow night. There is a matinee on Saturday at 1 o'clock, and then there's a 7 p.m. performance as well. So tickets can be, you can get tickets by calling the PAC, $15 for adults, $10 for students. New Hampshire SAS, we have begun completing the New Hampshire State Assessment, and right now, here's what we still have left. Elementary schools grade 3 are doing the ELA and mathematics in the week of May 16th. Grades 4 and 5 will be doing ELA and mathematics the week of May 10th, so next week. Grades 6 through 8 will be doing mathematics the week of on May 10th. Grade 8 science, May 11th. And the high school will be completing the science the week, grade 11 at the high school will be completing science the week of May 16th. So segueing right from where we were with the special education compliance review, you will be hearing at the next school board meeting, you'll be seeing drafts of the special education surveys that we'll be sending out. We would be surveying parents of children identified as in need of special education. We'll be surveying administrators. We will be and there'll be separate surveys for each of these 4 groups. Paraprofessionals, and then one for teachers and related service providers. We're basing it on, when I was in Derry back in 2004, we started this. It was an extensive survey. It was more lengthy than I think we want to get into, and it was more subjective than we want to get into with comments. We want to streamline it, but we're basing it from that. And I can tell you that survey, we worked with UNH Survey Center in 2004 and then in 2007, and that's the survey and the system of survey that actually the state adopted as and changed it dramatically over the course of time. It's evolved to be very different for the parent involvement survey that is used at the state level. But it was based on that work that we had done in our survey. So we're paring that down. We're doing it with a Google form, so there's no cost or anything like that. We were able to do that at no cost with UNH Survey Center back in the day because that was our arrangement. They said, well, if we do this with you, can we have it and use it and probably sell it to the state or whatever? Sure. But so.
Is that anonymous?
It's anonymous, yeah. Yeah, there will be no emails collected or, but we still need a little time to share it with everybody, let, our associations see it, school board, for all of you to see it prior to rolling that out. Let's see, on May 16th at 6:30 PM, the high school will host an in-person appearance by Jamie Ford, a best-selling author of Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet, which was awarded the Asian Pacific American Award for Literature. Jamie will discuss his literary process as it relates to the Japanese-American internment during World War II. He will be doing a book signing from 6 to 6:30 p.m. and from 8 to 8:30 p.m. There's a flyer post that has gone out via email and social media, and it's also posted on the community bulletin board, the digital community bulletin board. And lastly, on behalf of the SAU administration and the entire Timberland Regional School District, I just want to say thank you to all of our teachers, our entire staff as well, for the incredibly important work that you all do every day. So it being Teacher Appreciation Week, every day should be Teacher Appreciation Day. So thank you very much.
All right, next is the personnel report. So it looks like we have two professional nominations.
Make a motion to approve the nomination of Melissa Dixie for special ed teacher Sandown North and Taylor Kennedy for math teacher at the high school.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Did you say Taylor Kenny or Taylor Kennedy?
Sorry, I meant Kenny, sorry.
Any discussion? All in favor? 9-0. Great. Professional resignations.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Deborah Covino, special education teacher, case manager at Danville Elementary, and Stephanie Pomicado, board certified behavior analyst for the district.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We say that correctly? You got it. All in favor? 9. Thank you. And administrative resignation?
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Michael Feely, facility and custodial supervisor.
I'll second it.
All right. I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes.
I do have some questions that we probably should discuss in public.
Okay. So we can hold that off.
Well, are you willing to accept the resignation, or do you want to have a discussion first?
Well, yeah, we can. I'll accept it, but I still want to have discussion.
Well, we can.
Okay.
vote on it.
So I have first and a second. All in favor? 9. Thank you. Committee reports. We'll start. Michael, any committee reports? Katie?
No.
Something on the CIP, which I think will probably need to come out from the superintendent's office, going to the town boards. We did meet, I can't remember now when it was, a couple weeks ago, and we did have town representatives, but because the board has changed over, the select board should make sure that they're looking to keep the same people or open it up for nominations. So can you just send something out to each of the town's board of selectmen requesting that they let us know who's going to be their CIP representative moving forward?
Will do, thank you.
And our next meeting, I don't remember, is, were you at that, does anybody remember when our next meeting is?
I'm checking.
I don't think I put it in my calendar. It's sometime in June, I thought. Oh, June 14th. I should know that. It's Flag Day. Okay. Remember, Barbara? I said that before.
You did.
June 14th. So if we could get the towns to, get somebody here by the beginning of June, then they can get up to speed for the next meeting.
Any
Great.
other committees that we should be notifying or requesting from the town select boards?
No, unless strategic planning may at some point request, I don't know
We'll
what they're
talk
gonna
about
do.
that.
Right, yeah, we have
Yeah,
that meeting.
you may wanna talk about that. You may wanna request them.
Wednesday.
I think last time we didn't go to the Board of Selectmen. I think we just requested volunteers. It's been a long time. You might be able to find that in the minutes. I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't have anything. Kristen?
I apologize for being late. I was at a lacrosse game, so.
How'd we do?
And the varsity won, so they won. So for those that don't know, our lacrosse team, both boys and girls, are having great seasons, so, boys have a home game tomorrow on Friday, so girls are away tomorrow. So if you have nothing going on tomorrow at 4 o'clock on Friday, come over to the high school and watch the boys. I'd love to see you there. But my apologies for being late. I do want to read, if this was already said, interrupt me, but Project Hope, did you talk about?
No.
Okay. Project Hope is taking strides to raise awareness for lung cancer. And throughout the month of May, you can bring in lightly used shoes that you no longer wear for donation to the various, there's pink decorated boxes around the high school. Project Hope is partnering with Funds to Orgs and the high school alum Lauren Coy to collect shoes in an effort to raise funds and awareness for lung cancer, as well as donating shoes to individuals in need in other countries. So there's more information on the school website on that, but that's all for the month of May. So, and that's all I have now.
Excellent. Amy?
Curriculum and assessment met. We talked about the summer learning policy that is headed back to policy committee. We also had a great discussion around class size and are doing some research on that, hopefully having some more information coming forward.
Great. Thank you. Mark?
No, sir.
Kim?
Nothing.
Excellent. Okay. I think that's any issues with the vendor payroll registers? Okay. Well, with that being said, we are going to enter into a non-public, 91/A:3, C. So we will be entering a non-public. Will we be coming out?
Well, we'll come up, but we'll just end the meeting.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
We'll seal the minutes if need be, and then end the meeting. So we won't be rebroadcasting. There'll be no action coming out.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we go into non-public under,
Paragraph
Second.
2C.
thank you,
I'll second.
Okay.
and roll call.
We need a roll call, please?
Michael Boucher,
Here.
Kim Farah,
Yes.
Stephen Finnegan,
Yes.
Amy Gentile,
Yes.
Barbara Kishka,
Yes.
Katie Knudsen,
Yes.
Kim McCormick,
Yes.
Mark Sherwood,
Yes.
Kristen Savage.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and have a nice weekend.
And happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Yes.